Good morning, everybody. Let's talk about nature recovery for all, from catchment to coast. And I really specifically emphasise all because I do want to signal inclusivity, collective responsibility, and nature being for all people, all species, and habitats. But sadly, that isn't always the case. I grew up in Blackpool in the 80s, and actually Blackpool was okay. It had the charm of the seaside, long beaches to explore, and the fun of the fair. But what I witnessed firsthand was how a coastal town really struggled against the tide of time, and the community that I was part of really faced some of the most severe deprivation in the country. So I really ask, is Blackpool okay? According to the Health Foundation, Blackpool actually has the lowest healthy life expectancy in the UK. So boys can expect to live 53.3 years of healthy, good, healthy life. And that's compared to 71.9 years of people born in Richmond upon Thames. So that's a gap of 18.6 years, which to me, from Blackpool, is so shocking. Blackpool also has the highest rate of alcohol-related deaths. It also has the highest rate of serious mental health issues, along with 4 times as many drug-related deaths and twice that caused by smoking. So I would say Blackpool is not okay. So our relationship with the coast isn't just about tourism and sea views. It's about that delicate balance between communities and the natural environment. And conversely to those problems that we see in Blackpool, we know that coastal environments have that potential to enhance both health and well-being. In 2019, DEFRA published a report which reported that both mental health compared to those living further inland was improved, that increased happiness in marine and coastal margins was seen compared to green spaces and urban environments. So I think if we want to maximise the benefits for people, our coasts not only need to be revived, but also restored and resilient. So whilst restoring ecosystems is unlikely to be the silver bullet to coastal deprivation, it is an important part of coastal regeneration. So if we think about salt marsh, they shield our coasts, they store carbon, they foster biodiversity. Combining that with seagrass, with oyster beds, we know that they will filter, create better water quality, nurseries for fisheries, and support local fishing industries. So if we think about enhancing and making our coast more accessible, we're not just in boosting that ecosystem, but also well-being. We're attracting tourism, jobs, and therefore growth. On the point of growth, the Green Finance Institute has recently reported that environmental degradation is hindering the UK economy. And that could be nature degradation causing a 12% loss in our UK GDP, which is more than the impact of COVID. Now, economic growth is the government's top priority, but nature recovery will be essential in achieving that goal. So when we think about restoring habitats, we need to think about helping nature, but also in that future. That's why the success of the Environment Agency's Restoring Meadows, Marsh and Reef programme is essential for securing benefits to salt marshes, seagrass and oyster reefs, as well as the wider environment. And we've seen absolute huge response to our restoration projects to join our programme pipeline, which is much more than we have capacity or funding to deliver. So while the government does provide a good platform to allow confidence in investment, we need to think about long-term how we actually get both private and public finance for delivering. The Living Dart, an example of some of our work is around championing coastal coordination. Here, we're really seeking to enhance the coordination for our coastal sustainability and resilience work. And many of that bits of work include restoring nature, but also tools to allow us to collaborate better. And here, we've also seen a really overwhelming request for funding, which starts to signal the level of ambition we have here. On our Living Dart project, which has been developed with the 3Cs funding, we're aiming to support a restoration of a mosaic of salt marshes in the Dart estuary, which have become degraded. And we've brought together funding through local planners, communities, private and local landowners to deliver that work. And we're building both capability and capacity to then actually start to do the practical restoration. And that type of collaborative effort is already showing real results, with the first seascape scale marine restoration projects, the Solvent Seascape project, gaining international recognition. But it's not only coastal areas we need to restore. We've got to think about that catchment to coast, the health of our rivers, our wetlands and our estuaries. And the Environment Agency is in a good position with our roles as both an operator, a regulator and an advisor to government and others to support that. We've recently published our Chief Regulator report, and we're really setting out there what we want for the future, how our regulation is future focused, how it's effective and trusted, and how we can influentially, technically apply our leadership. That is hugely important to increase confidence in regulation, but ensure that regulation also delivers environmental conditions for nature recovery. To support all of that, evidence is crucial. And we need real tangible data that shows how nature is recovering, but also the benefits that that delivers to communities. Through our Natural Capital Ecosystem Assessment Programme, we're gathering that evidence through pilot projects, scientific studies, and community feedback. And with every success story, restored habitat, improved water quality measurement, adds to our understanding to make the case for future investment. And that data is driving change. So let me share my vision of success. Imagine Blackpool, where children have access to green and blue spaces, where our coastal defences work with nature, where waters teem with fish and wildlife, where we value and pride ourselves in coastal heritage. So for me, and for the Environment Agency, this isn't about an environmental project, it's also about social transformation. When we get this right, we create jobs, we create health outcomes, and we create community resilience. I will leave you with 3 points. Nature restoration is fundamental for coastal regeneration and growth. Government can provide funding for that platform, but we need to think about the long term of how we mobilise private and public funding. Whether small or large, when we do nature restoration, we know it inspires, it creates hope, and if we do that together, more the better. Thank you.